guys, welcome back to Young and Unscripted. So today we have an incredible guest on. We have on Olamide, who is an amazing creative. She acts, she writes, she directs, she does everything. Olamide, we are so excited to have you on. Welcome to Young and Unscripted.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so cool. I feel like a little celebrity. I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting interviewed.
I love it. And you know what? It's so new for us as well because we've never done a Zoom interview before. So
it's something different, but we're excited. Yeah.
Let's hope the not all right, and we'll be all good.
Amazing. So would you be able to just start by telling our guests a little bit about yourself, kind of doing your elevator pitch for us, just telling us who you are?
Okay, we'll give it a go. I feel like I've lived so many lives. So hi everyone that's listening in. My name is Olamide. I'm a writer, director, performer, British Nigerian, born in Chingford. I like to make work that is bold, and I often lean into absurdism and surrealism. Afro-surrealism is like my bag. I write a lot of like drama and comedy, and I've done a couple like short one-woman plays and stuff like that, looking to hopefully go into more like large ensemble pieces. I work across stage and screen, which is really cool. I could go on and on, but I think that's kind of me in a nutshell. Yeah.
Amazing. And Olamide, what made you want to get into the creative industry? It's such a crazy industry, but a great one for sure. Like, where did that passion start from?
It really, really is a crazy industry. I think it's just always been my thing, like ever since I was little. When I first started out, I actually thought I was going to be a singer. I thought I was going to be the next Beyonce. I was certain, actually. And then as I got older, I started doing like drama and stuff in school, and then I think that just kind of like captured me. Like I remember so vividly in year 6 playing the Golden Goose in a play, and I had to like lay an egg live on stage. And when I tell you, the parents were like crying with laughter, and I was like, I did that, and it was like such a high at that young age, and I was like, that's so amazing to like inflict joy on people. So I think I got the bug from then. And then I did GCSE drama and A-level drama as well, but so I went to a grammar school for secondary school, and everyone was studying like maths and further maths,
and you're the kid.
And I was the kid that was studying English, media and drama, so very different. But yeah, I think I set myself up for a life in this industry because I knew that's what I was interested in, and it's just, you just have to like follow your heart, really. So yeah, I think that's how it kind of started.
I love that. I'm really interested to know, actually, because I didn't know that you sang or that you like to sing. Has that ever influenced any of your work? Have you ever included singing or music into the things that you do?
I thought you were going to make me sing, so thank you. La, la, la. Imagine I was terrible as well. That would be so fun. Has it ever I used to be a musical theatre girly through and through, like Hairspray, Dreamgirls. The amount of times I've watched those DVDs, unhealthy, like it's crazy. But in terms of like my writing and performing and stuff, you know what, no, like when I was younger I did Stagecoach and we did some musical stuff. You know what, it's funny, like my journey hasn't been linear. Like with singing, I took a huge like confidence punch, I don't know the phrase, and then a similar thing happened with acting. So I haven't publicly sang in like years. Like I'll do little riffs and like sing with friends and stuff like that, but I feel like musical theatre is a very different bag. Like you have to be like really in that world. and like from early they tend to be in that world. So no, but like I'd love to revisit it. It's actually one of my goals for the year. Like I said, I had like a hiatus with acting after a while, so I didn't act for like 2, 3 years, and I almost developed like this stage fright. And then last year and a half ago, I was like, I miss doing that. And I was good at that and I want to do it again. And since then, I've just been doing like youth companies and this and that. And like even with writing, like a year and a half, 2 years ago, the thought of someone reading my writing was like crippling. It was like, oh my
Yeah.
God. And now I'm just like, you just have to put it out in the world. And if it's not as good as it could be, like there are people that are willing to help you get to that point. So um, to answer your question, I'm not sang yet, but I would sing if any casting directors are out there.
I can add it to the spotlight.
Yeah,
Singing is
it's
a
on the
skill.
resume.
Let's get it on there. So I'm interested to know, obviously, you just talked about then about mentors and people helping you to get to where you want to. Do you feel like that's been your experience in the industry, or do you feel like it's been a lonely experience for you? Because I feel like everyone that we talk to has a really different take on it. And some people said, oh, you know, I've built up from the ground by myself and no one was my supporter. Whereas other people say, oh no, I had a lot of help and I wouldn't be there if it wasn't for them. So what's your experience with it?
Yeah, so I definitely don't think I would be where I am today without people that have helped me in this industry. Like it, especially when you come from a background where you're not a nepo baby and there's no one that you know and you don't have an in. Like I have, it's weird because it's a real mixture because I have literally built it from the ground up, but that is with help along the way. Like
Mhm.
for example, you get your first job and then you meet someone that really likes you and really invests in you, and then they might recommend you for a job or like introduce you to someone that gives you that next job. And I think I can literally name the people that have like also like instilled confidence in myself that I didn't have, like without them being an external person and being like, I see something in you. Like, but the people that have helped me, a wonderful actress called Leah Williams. I was a runner on this show and I absolutely hated it. So I ended up leaving that, but I made a real connection with her. And then she was going on to do some theatre stuff. She was directing. And then because we made a connection, I was then able to interview. And then when you do a good job on that one, I did another play. And then it kind of just builds like that. And then William Stephen Smith, who I was director's assistant for on Top Boy, he championed me. I came out of nowhere and he was like, yeah, let's give it a go. And then we built that relationship and that led to the relationship that I now have with Ashley Walters. Like it's just, as you can see, like without me making specific connections with people, I think I just would feel lost in this industry. And I feel so lucky that all of these connections I've made have like gone beyond work in that they've really invested in me as a person, which is lovely as well. And it's just, I feel so fortunate that I've had that. And that's why I'm like super passionate about other people getting that as well so they can have that experience.
Yeah, no, I feel like mentorship in this industry is such an important thing because, as we said earlier, it's such a crazy industry and it's so easy to lose yourself in it and just be like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Where do I go? So just to have someone who has that experience and to guide you is such a beautiful thing. So what was your first project then that you worked on? Because obviously now you've done so much, and we will definitely get on to all of your amazing things that you've done. But I'm interested to know what was the first project that you ever did, and what was your biggest takeaway from it?
Okay, so in my first year of uni, I was super into like radio and stuff like that. So I had a podcast as well.
Oh,
It was called Spill the University.
Okay.
Iconic.
I love it.
And yeah, so I got super into it, and then I applied for the BBC Radio apprenticeship. Um, super competitive. I'd only been doing like radio for a few months and like community radio at like West Side West Side radio station in Ealing, and then I managed to get that apprenticeship, which was like insane, and that was like 2 months working across Radio 1 and Radio 1 Extra and stuff like that. And just like working at the BBC at such a young age, I was like, oh my God, this is insane. I must have been like 19. And then even from then, like I'd found a connection to radio in that it felt very similar to storytelling, and like I'm saying, like my whole life I've been telling stories, whether that was writing or acting and stuff like that. So for me, it almost felt like a performance every time I got on the mic, I think. So going into that, I was like, this is filling that hole for me at the moment. But in the back of my mind, I knew that I still had the ultimate goal of wanting to work in TV and film and stuff like that. So I utilized being in the BBC building, and I was like, I know I'm here for a radio thing, but like, can I go talk to some people on the other floors? Because at the BBC, it's just like 8 floors, and every single one is like a different department, like news, etc. So then I got introduced to Shane Allen, who was like head of commissioning of BBC Comedy, which is insane. And then I made friends with him, and then I got invited to like shadow on a couple shows. So I did a day on like Man Like Mobeen, and then like the Rap Game and stuff like that, and started building up like little credits like that. And then eventually I did a show called Funny Festival Live. This was when COVID was happening, and I was just a trainee on that. And then I met a young woman called Nadia, and she linked me up to this association that I'm a part of, and they were the ones that really championed me and started like helping me like get my CV together and start getting it out there. So then I worked on a show called The Capture. I worked on The Kitchen, the Daniel Kaluuya film, like these stepping stones. And then in between that, because I did theatre as well, like I was doing some stage productions, like the 2 plays that I mentioned, they were both at Chichester Festival Theatre. And then eventually I got Top Boy, and then met Ash in passing, and then at the end of that job I'd heard like whisperings that he was going to go on to like direct a show, and like obviously because I was working for a different director, we didn't like talk loads. I spoke to him in passing like 2-3 times, but then because we were doing some rewrites, I had to like email him a script at some point, and then me being me, I'm gonna shoot my shot, so at the end of the job, I just like emailed him. I was like, "Oh, so lovely meeting you. La la la. If you ever need like assistance, like I mentioned on set, like let me know." And he was just like, "Yeah." And obviously, as I'd worked for William Stephen Smith, that was kind of my reference, and that's how I got 1,000 Blows. But just going back one, actually, I got Top Boy. I got that job by DMing the director. Like that is. But yeah,
can we talk about Top Boy and your whole experience with that? And then obviously, as you said, leading on to 1,000 Blows, what was that from start to finish? What was everything like?
Yeah, so like I said, my experience in the industry has been a bit rocky, and there were projects that I was on that I was like, I'm not happy doing this, or like I'm in a role that I don't like, or it's not quite what I thought it was, because the industry looks very glitz and glam from the outside, but when you're on the day to day, when you're on set for 14-hour days and this and that, like it can get a bit crazy, temperaments can get a bit wild. So I was like, I'm not really sure if this is for me. And to be honest, after a particularly like big project, I was like, I don't think screen's for me. Like maybe I'll just stick to like theatre and radio stuff. So then it's an insane story. So like I said, I was working at like One Extra, and I overheard a conversation of someone being like, oh, like Will used to work here, and now look at him, he's directing Top Boy. And I literally did like a double take. I was like, did you say someone that used to work here is now director of Top Boy, as in Top Boy? And I was like, tell me more. Who is this man? Like, this is crazy. So then obviously I stalked him, and then I followed him on Instagram. And then, you know what, this was after season 2. See, the Netflix season 2 had come out. And I just DM'd him on like you used to work at One Extra and now you're a director. That's literally my ideal trajectory. Like, do you have any advice? And I thought we'd just like Zoom and then it would be like, do this and like do that. And then that'd be it. But then like we started talking more and more. And then eventually he was like, oh, we're about to shoot season 3. Like, would you potentially want to interview? And I was like,
No. Wow.
Yes.
and you know what? As amazing as it was, it wasn't an instant yes. Because like I felt like I'd been not tricked is not the word, but I feel like I'd been led astray by like big names and big companies and big shows before. And like I said, like that didn't always mean that I'd enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So it was a yes, because obviously like that is the ultimate goal. And like talking to Will, I was like, this guy's cool, etc., etc. But I was a bit apprehensive because I was like, I just hope that it is what I think it will be. And it wasn't like a you have the job straight away. Like I still had to interview with other people and stuff like that. But I did the interview. It was the craziest interview of all time. That's a story for another day. I was in Morocco. I was outside. It was a lot. A lot was happening, and I was like, oh my God, I just ruined my interview for Top Boy. Great, can't wait. And then like weeks passed. And I'm there, I'm like emailing, following up. I'm like, hi. And then I'm at the gym one day and I'm on the treadmill and then I get the email and it's like, we'd like to offer you the position. I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
but then again, it was like this sense of relief of like, oh, I finally know. Because for me, like the longer I went without knowing, I was like, oh, maybe this is the universe saying that it's not supposed to happen, etc., etc. So I was like, okay, cool. We're doing this again. We're gonna try it again. And like that is the biggest lesson for this whole industry. Like you get knocked down and you have to stand up and try again.
Yeah.
You really, really have to. Otherwise, it will beat you. Because it is really hard. So you just have to have your North Star and know what you're working towards, and then there will be obstacles within that, and you just have to keep trying. But I'm not an advocate for like suffering for the work. Like there are so many people that are putting like their mental health at risk and stuff like that by working in these jobs because they think it will get them to a certain place. And my thing is like, if you're not happy, you can't produce the best work anyway.
Yeah.
So all of this was going on in my mind, and I was like, "Oh my God!" But then I took it because I was like, I'd be dumb not to. And it was just a completely different experience to what I'd had before, like in the best way possible, I think. Because I'd previously been like a runner before as well. And then this was me being director's assistant on a big, big Netflix job. Do you know what I mean? Like it was night and day, and it just felt right. Like I had so many more responsibilities, and it's like, yes, maybe I didn't know all the jargon and all the different kinds of sides and this and that off the bat, but I'm such a believer in you can learn on the job.
Absolutely.
100%. Like you don't have to go to film school, you don't have to do any of those things to actually work in this industry. As long as you're a quick learner, I think it's open to everyone and everyone should have equal opportunities to do that. So yeah, I did that job, and it was like, compared to the other jobs that I'd done, so diverse. Like on the ground, at least the crew and stuff like that, like Netflix has different initiatives and stuff like that, and like trainees and shadowing and stuff like that, so they try and make it more diverse, which is something I had never seen on a set that I'd worked on before. So that was really nice and really refreshing. Actually, Man Like Mobeen was like similar in the way that they tried to outreach, but that gave me hope, and I just felt less lonely, you know, like it was looking around, seeing people that look like you, and everyone's just grinding, and it was amazing. And then yeah, so then that's how I met Ashley in passing, and then that's how eventually I like shoot your shot once again. If I hadn't sent that email, there's no way I would have worked on 1,000 Blows. And I mean, you will get aired. You'll get aired all the time.
Yeah.
I've been aired. I have a whole folder of people that have aired me, but it's like the ones that have replied are the ones that I've counted, and they've been the most important ones. And you can't like take it personally as well if you do get aired because people are busy and stuff like that. Like, and what is meant for you will come to you.
Yeah, I
So
was literally just about to say that. Like, if it's meant for you, it will not pass by you. You've got this, like, it will come to you. So just be patient. And as you said, shoot your shot,
Yeah.
give it everything and see what lands, because what lands is what's meant for you.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, and it's so amazing. What was your biggest takeaway from that project doing Top Boy? What's the biggest lesson that you learned that you think you'll take through for the rest of your career?
Ooh.
Big question.
You know what? As great as the diversity was on the floor, I think we're working in an industry that has worked in such a way for so long that it's going to take a lot of years for us to see true diversity reflected throughout all the rankings within the system.
Yeah.
So oftentimes you'll find like production offices are still not very diverse, and that's was similar on Top Boy. I think the people in power, the executive producers, etc., they're not always reflective of the stories that are being told, and that can be a good thing in that a lot of the time these people have the power to bring these stories to our screens, to our doorsteps, but at the same time it made me question why certain people are wanting to tell certain stories. So I think that's something that I will continue to interrogate like throughout my whole career. And I think just in terms of the diversity thing, it's like it's going to take a while for that to trickle through the entire industry. Like you'll find a lot of like trainees and shadowing people, etc., are the diverse people on sets, and that is amazing and that is great. And I'm just so excited for the day where all the HODs are also the diverse people, and all the executive producers are also the diverse people. Like that's what I'm waiting on. So I think that's one of my biggest takeaways, is that there's so much more to do, and it's important to interrogate who's telling these stories and why.
Absolutely. I think that's so powerful. And I would want to ask you, how do you think that then translates into the work that you do currently in terms of your own work and what you produce and what you write and everything like that?
Yeah, I mean, all my work is black, black, blackity black. Everything's black. Everyone's black. It's just, I think writing from experience is like one of the most powerful tools that you can use. So, um, as a young black woman, like the lens I see the world through is literally the lens of a black person. Therefore, a lot of the stories I'm telling is through that same lens. And that's not to say that I can't tell stories through other people's lenses. And that's actually a skill that I'm wanting to develop. But I think that's the biggest thing for me. I'm like, when I say I took these hiatuses on like acting and stuff, for example, I think it was also out of frustration. Like when I was younger and everyone would have to like find audition monologues and stuff like that. I remember I'd go to like the National Theatre and like flick through like loads of books and just feel like there was nothing for people like me. Or when there was stories for like young black women, they were like certain archetypes and certain stereotypes, and I was like, that doesn't interest me whatsoever. And I didn't feel like connected to things like Shakespeare and stuff like that. I was like, I felt a real sense of lack. And so I'm such like a do-it-yourself person. If someone else isn't gonna do it, I'm just gonna do it. So I think it's a thing for a lot of performers of color as well, that they feel like they have to make their own work because it's not out there. Like they have to produce it or no one else will. So I think a lot of the time writing comes from a place of want and need, which is a good thing and a bad thing in that it's created some beautiful work. Like look around us, like we have so many POC like writers and actors and directors that have produced amazing things. But at the same time, those are skills that our counterparts don't necessarily have to do, like have to make their own show and put themselves in it, because they can go to certain bookshops and just flick open the page and they see characters that are written for people like them. So I think the industry is making real strides with that sort of thing, because we have so many people that are just saying, okay, I'm going to do it myself. So I think that's definitely like where I kind of came from originally with that. And I just find it really fun now as well, which is great. So I feel like I have the best of both worlds. And just my biggest goal in life is to write stories that one day, like a young black girl in a few years can go into a bookshop, flip it open and be like, oh, I'm gonna do my audition monologue from this. And that would just make me so happy. Like, it's actually making me a bit emotional now, because I know that that was me back then. And like, to think that it's possible to create that feeling of legacy,
Yeah.
that's exactly the sort of thing that I would absolutely love.
How did you feel when you actually got into writing? Because I know you said you kind of felt a bit of a block with like acting and writing and stuff at a period of time, but how did it feel when you started writing? Like, how did that come about? Because you were like, okay, I want to make this work. How was it when you actually did it? Like, was it hard to get into or?
Yeah, it's weird because like again, when I was younger, like in primary school, secondary school, like I've always been a writer. I used to do a lot more poetry.
Mm.
Um, yeah, especially in school. I've always written, like English was my bag, you know? But I think there's doing it for school and there's doing it for the love of it. And then when the pressures of the industry start to come, that's when it can feel a bit more difficult and you can start doubting yourself and stuff like that. So I think this is almost like a resurgence of that old me. Like I think just across the board in life, like you will come back to the things that are meant for you. So it was just chipping away at that like fear of what would happen. So I'm so bad with like dates and stuff like that now, but it must have been like 2 years ago now. Maybe. Yeah. So I was on this whole directing wave. Like I was going from like theatre and then working on shows and stuff, and it was going great. And then I was directing like a short snippet at a theatre called Theatre 503. They do this program called Rapid Writers Response. So they'll have a main house show and then they'll like invite loads of writers to come in and then encourage them to write a 10-minute response piece. And then they wrangle loads of directors together and then they direct the pieces. So I was directing one of them. I'd been like confirmed to direct. And then I watched the play. It was called My Brother's Keeper and it was beautiful. And I was like, you know what? I can write a little thing or two. And they give you like no time whatsoever. It's like this show is like on the Friday and you have to submit by like the Monday. And I was like, I love deadlines. I love time pressure because that really, I've got ADHD. So like I really need that fire under my ass to get stuff done. And then that was actually the very first snippet of Mothership that I wrote. So this goes way back, and it's this weird, wacky, poetic unraveling of consciousness, and it was like this is weird, but I feel like I'd grown in confidence, and I was like, it's weird, but like good weird, maybe. And submitting it felt almost like disassociated because I wasn't like handing it to someone in person or like reading it to someone. It was like I just have to like submit and then they'll have their deliberations. And then it was just too techy because I was already directing one and I couldn't have like written one as well. So that never materialized into anything. And then it was like months later again, the Royal Court had a program, the writers program, and I was like, you know what, this story that I wrote was okay. Let me just submit it. And then I submitted it and I also didn't get that. And I was like, right, okay. But then I was like, no, but there's something in this. This is good. Like I enjoy it and I think other people would enjoy it as well. And then that Mothership was the first time I actually let my friends read some of my writing as well. I just like WhatsApp them and I was like, please can you read something for me? Like if you hate it, like don't tell me la la la. And then the Royal Court had another program come around that was called Plays from Your Notes app. And then I was like, right, we got one more shot. And then I submitted like the wackiest little snippet of Mothership. And then I got it. And I was like, this is insane. Like the odds were stacked against me. It was like over 900 applicants and 11 places.
Oh,
Like it insane to receive.
that's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. And the program was like you are part of the writers group for like however many sessions, but then the really cool part was that we got to put on a snippet of our plays in the Jerwood Theatre upstairs, and they gave us like a little bursary, like all things that you don't get on the regular program either. So it was like, again, what's meant for you will find you.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, so that gave me real confidence. And then it was also fun to live in this space and write these weird things. So I kept writing and I've like submitted to so many different competitions. I did the Almeida. The Almeida has so many amazing programs and opportunities. I've done their Acting Young Company, and they also had a call out for young writers. And I did a play called Ishele, which won and was one of like 4 or 5 pieces that got a rehearsed reading there. Um, the play Shifters, the Bush Theatre.
Oh, my
Yeah, yeah,
favorite play. Because you
Shifters.
did, was it Radical Love or something that you did for?
yes.
Yes,
So
I want
Oh
to
my
know all
God.
about
it
it.
was such a good play, wasn't it? I actually saw Shifters twice. Once at the Bush and then after when it got the transfer at the Duke of York, and it was just gorgeous. I think even better the second time. I felt like they lived in the space more. The larger space meant that they could be bigger, and it just the storytelling was beautiful. Um, so yeah, like the Bush Theatre, ATG Entertainment, Eleanor Lloyd Productions, and Sonia Friedman, they all came together and basically did a big initiative where they did a massive call out for POC writers to write a response play to Shifters. So I submitted. I think that's like a through line for everything. Like I just submit, you just have to try, go for it, submit it. If they say no, they say no, you can't come and die. Um, and then I submitted a extract of Mothership. Mothership has seen me through a lot of things, you know what I mean? And the little extract that I submitted, it was successful. And then I was given a baby commission to write a new play with the concept of radical love. So I was super excited, gassed to get it, etc., etc. And then I was like, oh, now I have to write about love. Um, all right. Yes, I've not been in love, so I was like, I'm gonna have to really get creative, really go to that side of my brain. So it was a real journey because it was supposed to be like 5 minutes, the play in total. So to have a story with a beginning, middle, and end in 5 minutes, but also explore a theme that you're not super familiar with, it was like, wow, now the challenge is beginning. Um, and I went through loads of different things. There was at one point where a woman was holding an immigration center hostage and this and that. And I went through so many different stories. And then fundamentally, I was like, I just want to speak from the heart. So it was one woman extract. Most people did like 2 people plays because that was the max that we could do. But I went for a one womaner, and she was just talking about her experience of love, heartbreak, and her hopes. And it was a comedy, and it was just really nice, and it was very cathartic as well because I find whilst when you're creating characters, it's not directly you, it's amazing to again be able to bring your life experiences into that. So I was like, I think men are like this, so the character's gonna also explore that. So yeah, it was called A Request. And she was praying to God for the man of her dreams, basically. And yeah, we had like an industry showing of that at the Duke of York in one of the bars, which was great. And yeah, it's just surreal to have been part of that. And all of the other writers were just so talented as well. And it was so lovely to hear what they'd written being given the same stimulus as well. Because that's the beautiful thing. It's like everyone could be given the same thing, but you're gonna have your unique take on it. So that was really cool.
No, I love that. I feel like we have to talk about Mothership. We have to
Yeah.
talk about it. Obviously,
Yeah.
it is going to be at Peckham Fringe this May. I'm very, very excited for it. I want to know all about it. Obviously, we've heard snippets through what you've been telling us, but please just go into depth about it and maybe start with what is it about without spoiling anything. What is it about?
So this is the hard part because it's like so wacky. It's like, do you want to tell all of it or not? But fundamentally, it's about a young woman called Lolade who is grieving her mother, who has unfortunately passed from sickle cell related complications. So Lolade has spiraled and is at the point where she's waiting on the top of a mountain for aliens to abduct her because she thinks they'll return her to her dead mum. So it's a comedy drama, sad, funny, bit of all of it mixed in. And it's a one-woman show as well.
Mm. It's really interesting because you said obviously at the very beginning about how when you first did your golden egg thing, and that you said what you loved most about it was that people were laughing at it and that people were just really enjoying themselves. And it's so lovely to see how through all of the different things that you've done throughout your career, it's all been heavily influenced by comedy. And it's just I just love that. And I just saw that little thread there and I thought that was really, really beautiful. Why do you think that you're so heavily influenced by comedy or like to include it so much in your work?
Ooh, it's giving therapy. I think
You don't have to go into detail.
no, let's go deep. Let's do it. I don't know. I think that's the story for like a lot of kids growing up and like even just like having a hard time at school and being bullied and stuff like that. Like people aren't bullying you when they're laughing. Do you know what I mean? When you've made them laugh. Like they could laugh at you or they can laugh with you. And I think you'll find a lot of like comedians have had like a similar um slightly darker background and it's such a light in darkness a lot of the time. Like the world could be shit, your life could be shit, but then if you laugh, it's like there's hope, there's something. And I think for me, the community aspect of comedy is so important as well because it's not just you alone in a room, it's like you're bringing everyone together and everyone is having that shared experience. So I just think that's so beautiful. And just if you don't laugh, you'll cry, innit? That's been my catchphrase since the beginning of time. So I think that's why I kind of always lean towards comedy. And within my writing specifically, I think it actually makes a lot of harder topics more accessible.
Mhm.
It's like this like Mothership could be a play where it's just like really sad and she's grieving and she's like, oh my God, like loss and pain and stuff like that. But I don't know about you guys, but that's not how I've lived my life. Like even when I've had like depressive episodes and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
there's been something that has brought me out of that. And I think it's just closer to the human experience. Like comedy drama, like life is about peaks and troughs. So that's why I find it so interesting when you're able to like inflict those emotions within people, like two very opposing emotions within the same piece of work. I find that so interesting, and there's such like a delicate balance to it as well.
Yes, yeah.
I
How do you find trying not to kind of overstep that balance and trying not to make it an imbalance? Because as you said, I guess with some things, I guess if also it's a very sensitive topic, I think if maybe there's too much comedy, people be like, whoa, it's offensive to, laugh at that. Whereas the other way, if there's not enough comedy, it could feel too uncomfortable and people sit too much in the sadness. So how do you work with that as a writer?
100%. I mean, it's not an exact science. It's like literally like trial and error every time. I think most writers would say that as well, but I also think it goes back to my point earlier when I was like, who's telling certain stories and why? Because for example, you have these comedians that are not from a certain background and then they'll start making jokes about certain backgrounds and it's like
Mm.
that's not your place and that's not you're not the person to make that joke. Whereas if someone from that background makes that joke, it's kind of funny because they're laughing at themselves as well. So I think it is such a delicate balance. And I think I don't with like cancel culture and stuff like that, it's even harder now to know like what is okay to kind of poke fun at. So I think universal experiences are often like safe bets as well. Like things like love and school and grief is even like a universal experience, like everyone will live and everyone will die. So I think it's when you're exploring topics like that, I think it's fun to see the light within that or see the other side of that because everything is kind of like a spectrum. So you could go really dark, but what if you peeled that back a bit? And what does that look like? And what effect does that have? And like you were saying, like if it is really dark, some people might just shut off to that.
Yeah.
Whereas if you make it different, they're more likely to be engaged and stay with you on the story and be like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be like that. So let me stick with this and see where we go.
Yeah. Have you found that hard? Would you say that during your experience of writing Mothership, that was one of the hardest things for you, or was there something else that you felt like was a real challenge that you perhaps didn't expect to be originally?
Yeah. I do think it is hard, especially because I mean, like I'm saying, people coming from certain backgrounds, like I'm so lucky I still have my mum with me, and also so I don't have sickle cell, I have sickle cell trait. So for me it was really important to bring an issue like this to life and to the forefront in a way that is entertaining and engaging and also different for audiences. I mean, it's at Theatre Peckham and there's like a really big black population and it's like this is a thing that we've all kind of heard of, but some people might not know the ins and outs, and some people might not find like scientific understandings or like even leaflets that accessible. But if you're learning about things in a way, it's like you're unconsciously learning about really important topics whilst still having fun or like
Yeah.
still being entertained. And it's like that is so interesting to me. I'm like tricking people into learning about important things, which is great.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it's also tiptoeing around the fact that some of these things are not funny subjects. Like there are other topics that are explored in the play that I won't go into like now, but these are tough things. And some of them are things that I've experienced. So I've taken that creative license to kind of be like, this is my take on it, or this is how I got through it. And there are other places where it's like sometimes you just fill in the gap a bit and you're like, this is what I imagine this is like.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I think it's important to remember that as much as we're like, you want to come from certain backgrounds, etc., like this is an industry where you're supposed to be creative. We're supposed to like make things up and create worlds and build worlds. So I think it's finding that really delicate balance, and also talking to people that are from the backgrounds of things that you might want to explore. Like through this production, like we've partnered up with a couple sickle cell charities. Like they'll be there on the nights and they'll be like giving out info and like people can sign up to donate. And again, that just makes my heart glow because I'm like, we're doing a play, but we're also like saving lives. It's just,
And you know what? I find that so beautiful because I think something that a lot of actors go through as well is like people say, well, what you're doing is not really that important. You're not saving
Mm,
lives. You're not
mm,
a doctor. You're not, you're just in the
mm,
entertainment business. But actually, no, because not everyone wants to, sit and be force-fed information and,
mm,
think that they have to learn something a certain way. Whereas I find the entertainment industry is the best way to learn because as you said it's unconscious and people want to learn more. It's in songs, in movies, in
mm,
in theatre. It's where people feel the most seen that they're ultimately going to engage with more. So I think that's so lovely that you've
mm,
also taken that initiative not just to write about it but also to take that further step of let's invite them on the night, let's educate people about this because it is so important. And
mm,
I even think back to when Supercell was released and everyone was like, oh my gosh, like, wow, I can be a superhero, having
mm,
sickle cell. And that's, yeah, it's so powerful. And I think people really underestimate the arts for that. It's such a beautiful thing.
mm,
100%. Like everyone consumes media. Like, as much as people like to be like, oh, you're just a creative, you're this or that, they go home and they watch TV.
Yeah.
Like, it's such an influential thing. People are on their phones all the time taking in content, this and that. Creatives are at the forefront of that. We're creating that. We are the tastemakers, we are the influencers of society. So I think there's so much power in it. And I love people, I love like watching people step into that power and be like, I want to tell this story. This is what I want to say. And this is how I want to say it.
Yeah.
Did you always know it was going to be a one person play, or was that because that's like quite a difficult thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Were you ever thinking about having different characters or?
Yes, we have been on a journey. It was like when I first did it at the Rapid Right Response, it was a two-hander because it was like I was really interested by two specific characters that I'd seen in the other play. And I mean, they were completely different. Like mine were female and like they were there, but I was just interested in like it was a younger black character and an older white character. So that was kind of the dynamics that I was exploring in the first iteration of Mothership. And then yeah, it stayed like that for a while. And now looking back in hindsight, I think it was kind of fear that made me do that because I was like, I want to tell a certain type of story through this young character that I find engaging and she's vivacious, etc. But I kind of need someone else to like stimulate why she's saying certain things. Like it was kind of like, can you just ask her this and then she can talk
And
about
you
it?
say it.
But and it took me a long time to actually like accept the fact that I needed to make it a one woman play. Like when I say like the Royal Court thing that I did last year, it was still a two-hander at that point, but I changed it at that point. So it was like it wasn't an older white man, and it was now like a young immigrant that came across Lolade. And I fought hard. I was like, please don't make me do it one woman because that's so scary. I just can't. I had like dramaturgs being like, "Are you sure? Like, there's a way to do it and stuff." And I was like, "No, thank you."
Yeah.
But then it got to a point when I came to the end of the course and I had my like feedback session, and it was like, she's such a lovable character. She's this, she's that. This is her story. Like, we don't need the other stuff that you've done. And I was like, oh God, you're right. I've never written like a full length one person thing. Like a lot of the commissions that I've gotten have always been like short extract, short this, short that. So I was like, how does someone even write a whole play? I still don't know. But I've managed to do kind of. So it's lived many lives, but this one feels right. And it feels like I needed all those different versions though to have the confidence to get to where it is now. And I also just think it's a huge challenge in terms of performing it as well, because I'm writing it knowing that I'm going to be saying the millions of words that I'm writing down. So I'm like,
Don't let me make it easier for myself.
like if someone could just come and prompt me and remind me of my line, that would be great.
Yeah.
Apparently we're not doing that. So to answer your question, there was a journey and now we're at the point where it's a one woman.
I love that. I'm really interested to know actually. Like obviously you said it's quite scary, getting up there doing a one woman show and you start to feel the pressure. But what is it that you maybe feel more pressure for? Is it for everyone seeing your writing or is it for the performing? What do you think for you holds more weight?
Oh, I think it varies project to project.
Yeah.
I'm now at a point where I'm like super happy and like really confident in the writing of this project. Like I feel like I've sat with it for like a while now. And it's not perfect and it's also not finished. Like this is a work in progress performance. So I think that is a huge thing within itself. Like me sitting in this and being like it's not quite done, but having the confidence to be like, but that doesn't need to stop it. Like we can still do that, and we can be open, and we can invite people for feedback and stuff like that. I think just even saying that tells me how much of a journey I've been on in terms of like not even letting people read my writing at all.
Mhm.
So I feel really confident in the story and the world that we built. I think performing in terms of
Mm.
learning lines and stuff. But it's also a work in progress. So it's only like a week long intensive rehearsal period. So we couldn't put on like an entire production. Do you know what I mean? Because like who can do that in 4 days? You can't. So I think having done loads more acting over the last year, especially like did LYT, NYT, Almeida Young Company, like the Bush commission that I got, like let me take that back. That wasn't a commission. The Bush scratch night that I did, that was a one woman thing that I performed in, but that was also like on a much shorter piece of writing. So I think I've slowly been like stepping it up and like building up my confidence in terms of performing. So my biggest fear is that I just want to do the writing justice, because I've written these words and I've fallen in love with these words, and I just want to get on stage and be able to like accurately like reflect what the plan was.
Course, yeah. What do you think then, as you move on with your career, what do you want to go more into? Or is it a thing where you love doing everything? As you said, you write, you direct, you act, you do everything. What do you feel like you want to go more down a specific route, or are you still open to doing it all?
I'm gonna stay open for as long as I humanly possibly can. I think it's such a privilege to be able to like work across all of these industries and look at stories from such different perspectives. Like it's amazing. Like even now, I work at a TV production company in development as well, so I'm seeing it from that side of it, and I think it just it feels a lot more holistic, and I feel like a well-rounded artist as a result of all of that. So I think I definitely want to do it all, but I'm also not precious in a way that I don't believe that I have to do them all at the same time. Like there might be some projects where I'm like, oh, I just want to direct this, or oh, I'll just write this and give it to someone else. Like that's something that I really enjoy doing. Like I've just wrapped on my first like scripted short film. So I wrote and directed that, and then I got other actors in, and that's like creating work and stuff for other people. And it was just beautiful to see people bring your words to life and stuff like that. So I think it's definitely like a project to project sort of basis.
Yeah.
And that's super exciting for me because I'm like, well, what will I do next? What hat will I wear next? So yeah, I think different hats for different times.
Mhm. And do you think that that's helped your career, or do you think that it's hindered it in a way? Because I always find it interesting when talking to people, and we talk about it a lot actually, and
Mm.
we say the people who we really see thriving in this industry are the people who do have their hands in loads of different
Mm.
pockets. Whereas obviously a lot of people when they're first starting out, they're like, no, I want to act, I want to, focus on that, I want to make sure that I'm a master at my craft before I go into other things. So what would be your advice for that and what's been your experience with it?
It's such an interesting one because even now, like when I meet new people and I introduce myself and they're like, "What do you do?" And I go like, "Oh, I write, perform, and act, and produce, and this, and I do theatre, oh, and TV." And sometimes I'm like, they think I'm waffling. They think I'm making this all up. Oh my God. Because sometimes I can't, sometimes you do meet people and they're like, "Yes, I do everything." And you're like, "Are you sure?" Okay. It's hard, but then again, it's just owning that multi-hyphenateness of your artistry. And it's like, you have to sometimes, like going back to the convo about like POC, like writing their own stories. I would not have gotten anything that I've done, any of these commissions, any of these scratch nights, had I not written stuff for myself. And I think, especially in terms of like acting, like I'm a very specific casting type. I don't know what my casting type is right now. Like I'm so like green in the acting world compared to the other ones that I'm still like figuring it all out day by day. And I'm like, I don't want to wait around and just like wait for the phone or like for a casting director to be like, oh, I'll give you a job. No, I'll just write myself and I'll cast myself. and that'll be it. And I will have got that credit and I would have done that thing at that theater or that short film. Do you know what I mean? So I think I would be nowhere if I didn't have these different hats that I was putting on. So I do think it is really important. But again, I think sometimes that is out of scarcity rather than want. I actively want to do all these different things, whereas some people just know. And I'm actually sometimes envious of the people that are like, no, I just want to do acting and this is what I'll work towards for the rest of my life. And it's like there is a feeling of clarity within that is really nice. And it's a thing of like, don't feel pressured to have to do all the things. Because some people they can act and they can't write. And we don't need to see that writing. So do you know what I mean? Like, let's just leave that at home and you can just act. So I definitely say if you want to explore, definitely do that. Like, and I'd encourage that, but don't feel pressured to have to do that. You can be one thing, you can just become an expert in one thing, or you could try and be a jack of all trades. But yeah, just be good at what you're doing regardless.
Yeah. I would love to know. Again, it's a big question. Everyone hates it when I ask it. But what are those next steps for you then? What are you looking for in the future? Where does Olamide see herself and what do you want to do?
Uh, Short term, I'm gonna get this play transcribed.
Yes!
Looking forward to it.
Theatre
We can't
Peckham,
wait.
May the 13th and
Everybody go and
14th.
watch it.
Get your tickets. Are they both at 7:30?
8 p.m.
8 p.m.
Is that right? Yeah, 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love them. Yeah.
Both at 8 p.m. I hope, I mean, we've invited loads of theatres to come, so hopefully there's a future life for Mothership. And then also I'm in post-production on my short film that I made, as I mentioned. So I think those are my like immediate babies that I'm trying to like develop and give a future life to. And then I think now this year has been so big for me in terms of like I want to create way more of my own work. Like I've built a career assisting on this and helping on that and gotten some like really cool credits and learned so much. And I'm like, now it's time to put my big girl pants on and like have buy Olamide Dishware full stop. Do you know what I mean? Like have things out under my portfolio. So this year that was my goal and I've already wrapped my first short and I'm doing this play. So I'm like, I just want to keep making strides like that because I think ownership is so important in the world as a whole, but also especially in this industry to be able to be like, this is mine. I made this, I birthed this. And it's a future goal for me. Like I want my own production company and stuff like that. I've actually made my own production company, but I want to continue to build that. And so in the future, like I can create work for other people and stuff like that. So I think, yeah, I think it's continuing to have these little baby steps and then they turn into bigger steps and then gallops and then you're flying and then hopefully eventually it ends with yeah making loads of cool work.
Yeah, that's so exciting. And Olamide, the last question that we ask every single one of our guests, and to be honest, you've already sort of answered it throughout the whole of this Zoom call. It is if you could give one piece of advice to someone who is wanting to work in the creative industry. I won't say just be an actor or a director because you do it all, as you said. This is what you do and we love it. So what would be that one piece of advice that you would give to somebody who's aspiring to be in this field?
Shoot your shots.
I was just thinking that. I was like, yeah,
Yes.
I agree.
Mic drop. That's it. Just
Yeah.
try.
Yeah.
You'll get knockbacks, but just keep trying.
Oh, I love it. Honestly, Olamide, thank you so much
It's been
for
such a pleasure.
joining us on Young and Unscripted. I've had so much fun and I've learned so much, honestly.
Me too, I'm inspired.
I'm inspired. I'm ready to go and conquer the world. And I love it. No, of course. And again, as another shout out, everyone who was watching, please, please, please get your tickets for Olamide show, Mothership, showing at Theatre Peckham on May the 13th and May the 14th at 8 p.m. You can get the tickets through Theatre Peckham's website.
Yep. they're selling fast as well.
Yeah.
When they sold out.
Yeah, so please do get them. It's going to be an amazing show. We'll be there. We're very, very excited. So I cannot wait. But yeah, just thank you again for coming on and
you
just
so
sharing
much.
your experience with us. It's been really beautiful.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, watchers, listeners. Yeah, all the love.
We'll see you all next week on Young and Unscripted. Bye.